Welcome to Parenting Successful Teens, the podcast that cuts through the overwhelm and stress of this phase and offers parents simple, practical, cognitive, science-based strategies for keeping their teens on track. Join master coach and real-life mom, Allie Irwin, to talk about real teens, real problems, and the skills it takes to raise successful adults.
Hello, everybody. Today, I want to share how I set goals as a parent. I wrote a piece on it way back in 2016, and it's been on my mind again lately because my business coach, Simone Sewell, has been pushing me to use the same process, the one that I use naturally with my kids, for my business. I don't know why I didn't think to do it for my business as well. So I came up with this process when I read this great book called How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Succeed at Life. The book sounded really good to me because I felt like I was Sucksville as a parent. Like I definitely felt like I was failing as a parent. And I really wanted to believe that I could fail at a bunch of stuff and still be a great mom. That I could fail at a bunch of stuff and my kids would still succeed at life. Now, the author turned out to be a bit of a nutter in lots of other areas, so I'm not going to say his name, but the book itself and the process he described was pretty good. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to think about what kind of goals do you have for your family, for your kids, for yourself as a mom? Like if you fast forward to the next big milestone, maybe it's high school graduation, or maybe it's settling on a post-graduation plan, whether it's working or going to trade school or getting into their dream college, or maybe it's something way closer, like just making it through the holiday season without losing your mind, or through the school year with fewer fights about homework. Whatever it is, fast forward to the time that is complete. So you're thinking about the goal, and then think about what you want to have happened. Okay, so you get to high school graduation. What do you want to have happened? Or you wake up January 1st, January 2nd, the holiday season's over. What do you want to have happened? Okay, that is your outcome goal. Outcome goals are the end result that you would like to achieve. And I will share mine just for example. My outcome goal when my kids, I read this book and I thought about it. And my outcome goal when I was raising my kids is that I wanted to raise adults that I enjoyed spending time with. Okay, and I know this is not your typical goal. More typical goal would probably be something like, no late assignments this year, or empties the dishwasher without reminding, or we feel more connected as a family, or we have fewer arguments in the morning. And all of those goals are totally cool too. It's really your preference and what kind of lights you up, what you think about in terms of what you want for your family. And if at some point you want a bigger picture goal like the one I described based on your personal priorities, then absolutely we should book a couple of calls and really dig into that. Because for me, having that bigger picture goal was transformative. And underneath that were a whole bunch of smaller outcome-related goals. But that was like my big vision. And it really helped me to think not just in the short term, not just in getting through Thursday, but in the longer term, what kinds of skills and what kinds of things I was trying to help them develop. Okay, but you do not need a goal that big to get juice out of this process. Even something, as simple as making it through the holidays without, losing your mind, that is a totally, totally fine goal. So once you have your outcome goal, which is, said another way, that's your end results goal. We're considering that kind of like our starting point. And that is a really great starting point because it's what we think about the most. Okay, it's the easiest place to start. Okay, that's what our culture encourages us to think about. Like in the weight loss world, that's the lose 10 pounds goal. Or when you had babies in the sleep training world, it was getting your child to sleep for 6 hours at a time or whatever it was. That was so long ago, I don't even remember. I was not a good sleep trainer in the fact that I'm an extremely sound sleeper. And so who knows how quickly my children fell asleep, because after a couple of weeks, I was so tired, I think I stopped waking up. But never you mind. They turned out fine. Nobody starved. Nobody was scarred. It's all good. Okay, so your end results goal is your starting point. But we don't want to stop there, because that is off in the future. And oftentimes we don't, like when it comes to our kids, the outcome goal is kind of the part that we have the least control over. Okay, technically, you can't make your kids be more connected, or even you can't make them turn in their homework. Like they can leave their house. They can leave the house in the morning with their homework. You can do everything to get them to that point, and they can still not turn it in. I know they can, because I have clients that happens to. Okay, so technically, we don't want to stop there, like I said, just because we don't have control over that part. And so it feels very frustrating. There's not a lot of juice there. What we want to do is to make a process goal to go along with the outcome goal. And the process goal, I want you to think of it, it's right there in the name. It's the process you're going to take to get to that desired outcome. And the process goals are where all the juice is, okay? All the daily practice that actually increases the likelihood of achieving your outcome goals, that happens in the process goal. Like I said, this is a concept that my business teacher, Simone Sewell, has been talking about in her work. And she defines those process goals as the internal skill or change in perspective that would make the outcome goals more likely. So that's her definition, is it's the internal skill you're going to build or the change in perspective that you're going to cultivate that makes the outcome goal more likely. And I would like to add, some of my own criteria to her definition. So the first thing is that process goals have to be 100% under your control. Okay, with kids, their behavior is never under your control. Even though we kind of wish that it was, it never is. So your process goal has to be focused on you, what you can do, what you're going to choose to think, the feelings you're going to choose to cultivate, the habits you're going to choose to cultivate. Okay, all of it has to be under your control. And, we know the only thing we can control is ourselves, so it has to be about you. The second thing is that it has to focus on the daily journey rather than on that outcome that's kind of far out into the future. And it has to be specific enough to inform what you choose to do day by day. Okay, it can't be nebulous. Like, again, going back to the weight loss example, like eat better. That's nebulous. How do you know if you've achieved that? Like, what specifically is that? Whereas a process goal would be like only 1 soda a day, or 15-minute walk every day. So you want it to be something that's doable, that even on your worst days, you can, make some progress towards. You don't want your process goals to be so big that they feel, you just like flap on your back like a turtle and give up. So you want them to be small and specific and doable by you. So let me give you a couple examples. If your outcome goal is something like open communication with my family, then your process goal could be something like, I am honest in an age-appropriate way with my family. Okay, and then you set to work noticing and focusing on your own communication, your half of the open communication equation. So an example of that would be like if you were the kind of person that says, oh, I'd be happy to, when you are not happy to, that would not, if you have the goal to be more honest in an age-appropriate way, you have to stop saying you'd be happy to when you're willing to. Those are just like small shifts that bring you into more integrity with yourself. And that's something that you can start to notice on a daily basis. Or even, if they make a request, you can say, I've got 15 minutes to spend on that, and then I have to start making dinner. Or I can do that if you will help me make dinner. Or later would be better. Anything that feels more honest could be a process goal on your way to having more open communication. Okay? Or even, let me think almost like of the flip side of that is another piece of open communication is how they talk to you. And so maybe you're going to commit to requiring them to be more respectful. And you're probably thinking, well, how do I manage their behavior? I thought you said it had to be my behavior. It can be something as simple when they're being disrespectful as saying, I know you're upset and I'm going to walk away right now because it's not okay to yell at me. Okay, that can be your half of requiring them to be more respectful in their communication with you. Or whatever feels true or under your control. Okay. Another example from my own goal of raising adults that I enjoy spending time with, one of the smaller goals that was inside that was raising self-sufficient kids. Okay. I did not want to be doing all the things forever. And so I spent a lot of time in the process goal of teaching them how to do their own things. And, I watched several of the babysitters that we had when my kids were little that would come over and they couldn't even make a simple meal. If I left a box of pasta and a jar of sauce and a pan out on the stove to, boil the noodles in, they didn't know how to do that. And so I taught my kids how to make simple meals. I'm laughing because, I remember my oldest telling the babysitter once, well, I'm not allowed to turn on the stove, but if you can turn on the stove, I can take it from there. And that was a huge win for me in my process goals. Another example of that process goal is if they chose not to do the things that I had taught them to do to take care of themselves, a big piece of my work was not rescuing them when I really, really wanted to. And it's a great example, right? Because you can teach your kids to do something, but you can't make them do it. And so I had to put that control back on myself and say, well, I can't make you do it, but I also, I can make myself not do it for you. And so success in this area was defined by growth, not perfection, because sometimes it was too itchy for me to leave it undone. But even as I was noticing, I really should have let that go, but I just couldn't go to bed until I'd wiped down the counters or whatever thing was happening for me that day, I could be kind to myself and say, growth over perfection, and this is just all part of the process. This is actually a phrase that I teach my clients and I use a lot in my own parenting journey is nothing's gone wrong here. It's just all part of the process. And that process, that's where process goals come in, is they're the daily practices that over time will take you to your outcome goals. Now, I want to offer you that process goals, they're both terrible and awesome. They're terrible because they are the oftentimes hard daily practice. On a daily basis, it's easier to just take care of things than to say, I've taught my kids how to do this. They can do it or not do it, but they're going to have to, manage their own consequences. That daily practice of parenting in accordance with your goals is hard work, especially in the teen years. It feels like such hard work. But they are also a joy because you can celebrate. Like every time I didn't do the thing for them, I could celebrate my progress along the way. I could celebrate like that one little time, that I walked by that pile of laundry and I knew that there was something in that pile that they were going to need the next day. Like every time I wanted to swoop in and call a teacher or mediate like some disagreement with a coach and I didn't. Every time I let them handle things, like I have a little knot in my stomach right now. The laundry wasn't a big deal, but the like not stepping in with like a coach or a teacher that I thought was in the wrong and just letting them handle it. Every time I did that, that's me achieving my process goal. And I could celebrate that over and over and over. It's key to celebrate all of your victories, no matter how small, okay? Celebration is you're giving yourself little hits of dopamine when you say like, good job, you did it. And those little hits of dopamine are the fuel that keep you going. And the keeping going is the key to getting to your outcome goal and to actually enjoy parenting because you're focused on the day-to-day actions, the ones that you have control over, rather than ruminating on future worries or ruminating on the gap between where things are and where you think they need to be. Okay, process goals are the jam. They're the juice. And I would love to hear what yours are. In fact, send them both to me. Send me your outcome goal and your process goal, what you're going to do, the skill you're going to cultivate in yourself that you think will help you get to the outcome goal that you really want. You can send me an email at Allie@allieirwin.com and tell me what they are. And I will absolutely celebrate with you. And like I said, if you want help setting these, send me an email and let me know, and we'll get a call on the calendar, a free call on the calendar to talk about what that could look like. Okay, talk to you next week. Hey, if you enjoyed today's show and you want even more support and a shot of fresh inspiration in your email box each week, you have to get on my list. Sign up to receive my free guide on how to stop second-guessing yourself as a mom. There are so many decisions to make as a mom, and this guide will help you to make decisions and just move on. No more waking up 3 a.m. wondering if you made the wrong decision. This guide is so good. Even my non-mom clients are raving about it. So sign up today, and I will see you next week.